There's also a possibility here. I mean, anything's possible at this stage when it comes to what President Trump will decide. That maybe he says, I don't want to be party to the nuclear deal anymore, but perhaps delays a decision on the oil sanctions or pushes that down the road to kind of give some time, if you will, for parties to work out a better deal or work out, I don't know, maybe some other conditions coming from Iran. If we see something like that, would you still see the oil price move lower, do you think?
I think there would be a significant decline because yes, it's just pushing the decision further into the future, but that just means that that buffer of supply that is coming from Iran at present would continue to be there for an extended period of time. So yes, I think that prices would probably retrace slightly in the event that we saw that. Now, it's also important to think how OPEC might use this as an opportunity to as an exit strategy from their current strategy of restraining supplies, because what we see is that there's little scope for them to start producing again at the levels they would like to produce without having a negative effect on prices. If Iran gets out of the market, it might be a very natural way for them to say, oh, we need to increase production now because Iran is no longer there.
Does that suggest to you that even if we didn't get an official change from OPEC, that you could see compliance weaken?
Well, it really depends on how much of Iranian production is actually affected.
Right.
But I have no doubt that if some output from Iran starts to go out of the market, that would be an opportunity for others to start to increase production and not be as constrained as they have been with compliance up to 180% of targets.
And Alejandro, there's another element of this, aside from the supply considerations, which is just the sheer geopolitical risk factor in the region. We've heard some pretty stark warnings from Iran to say, don't change this deal. We've even heard warnings from France's Emmanuel Macron saying that we could be looking at war if this Iran nuclear deal breaks down. Of course, nobody hopes it gets to that. But if it does result in a worsening of relations between key players in the region here, will you then down the road see prices go higher just based on that?
Well, it's interesting because at present you see Saudi Arabia being the most hawkish among the OPEC members in terms of the price. But if you came to a situation where an actual disruption of oil supply was a possibility, I have no doubt that Saudi Arabia, as the holder of the largest spare capacity, would come out and say that they're ready to compensate for any war-related disruption that might emerge. So I think, yes, it's important to highlight that risk, and that is an upside risk, but at the same time, any such situation might overturn the current policy of the Saudis, and they could go back to their usual, which is just ensuring that the market is adequately supplied. And I am sure that they would guarantee that in case there is any disruption because of the increasing political risk or because of actual war.
Hey everybody, it's Hadley Gamble from our new CNBC Middle East Bureau in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for stopping by. Now to watch more, you can try one of the videos that just popped up on your screen. And don't forget to subscribe.